Let me go right now. Late today, Democratic presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren had a different response. She called on Congress now to start impeachment proceedings in a series of tweets saying the severity of this misconduct demands that elected officials in both parties set aside political considerations and do their constitutional duty. David, she's forgoing now, beginning the procedures, passing a resolution, doing it.
And I agree with Senator Warren. Chris, I think a lot of voters tonight think that the House Democrats and particularly Speaker Pelosi keep moving the goalposts, if you will. The President of the United States, when he was named in a criminal conspiracy in SDNY, she said, let's wait till the Mueller report. Now we have the Mueller report. Now we need to get an unredacted one and have hearings. The truth is, we have a 400-page report, and the House only needs to have one single hearing. Have Bob Mueller, Don McGahn, KT McFarland, and Corey Lewandowski testify and ask them one question. Is the information contained in the Mueller report a true and accurate reflection of the facts? And if they say yes, call for a vote up or down on impeachment, because what their testimony to Mueller suggests and confirms is that Donald Trump, as President of the United States, tried to kill the special counsel's investigation into his own actions and his campaign, and then instructed staff to lie about his obstruction. We don't need more hearings. The redacted version contains enough to call for a vote.
Well, I'm going to be honest here. I think it's easier for you, David, to say that because you're not representing a constituency of 600,000 people right now. And the Congresswoman is. I think there's a lot of hesitancy because of what happened to Bill Clinton back in '98. Let's go back. Bill Clinton was impeached and didn't do anything. Your thoughts, Congresswoman? How much does that guide your thinking and judgment now? What happened back in '98?
I love what Representative Jolly is saying. But I absolutely believe we have to do our homework. If you jump and say, want a redacted report that no one has fully read, I mean, we've had the chance to really dig in, and it's an extremely disturbing read. But if you jump ahead and say, OK, we got it, we got impeachment here, I think that would be foolhardy. We have our work to do. We have to reveal the narrative, the truth to the American public, and then we have the right to go forward with impeachment. Look at what we're looking at. We're looking at a redacted report that has troubling information about obstruction of justice by this president, literally asking Don McGahn to fire the special counsel. And you have Attorney General Barr saying, oh, the president fully cooperated. Well, that's not cooperation when you're asking your subordinate to fire McGahn. And then you know what he layered on top of that? He said to McGahn, OK, you won't fire him, and now the media has picked up that I've asked you to fire him? Would you go out to the media and say, I never asked you to do that? Imagine these things. They are treacherous. They are wrong. We all know that. They're a moral failing. But what we have the burden to do, and I think it's a responsibility, frankly. I don't think it's a problem. It is a responsibility, is to get the facts and the evidence, lay it out for the American people, and then we will see if impeachment is absolutely on the table. Because we will need the public behind us. We will need the Senate to take up the articles of impeachment. We will need 67 votes.
Well, my problem so far, David, you can give last thought here, but my problem is the president said 37 times he can't remember. He was useless as a witness. His people all lied like you can't believe. Liar, liar, pants on fire. All of them. So many are liars on the record lying. And now the Justice Department, as of tonight, is saying, I'm not going to give you the full unredacted version. They have played every game in the world to keep the truth. And if the Democrats have to wait for the truth from this administration, hell will have to freeze over because they're not going to give you the truth. They're not going to give you the means to bring them down. You've got to make a judgment based on what's available. Your thoughts on that, Congressman?
There's a clear case of obstruction that's currently available. And here's what Democrats truly risk. In the long lens of history, what they risk is coming down on the side of Bill Barr. Consider this. Bob Mueller said, here is information I have about obstruction. And Bill Barr said, I don't think it's enough to convict. If Democrats suggest we don't have enough information either, and they give this a pass, you are giving Bill Clinton a more damning legacy in presidential history than you are Donald Trump. And I think Democrats will regret that.
Thank you.
Chris,
go ahead, Congressman. You have no time, but go ahead. You deserve it.
I have to say, I've spoken to many of my colleagues over the course of the last 48 hours. No one believes in the credibility of Attorney General Barr. No one. He poured away his credibility in buckets over the last several weeks.
Well said. Thank you so much, U.S. Congresswoman Madeline Dean of Pennsylvania, and former U.S. Congressman David Jolly.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.